some philosopher or some shit. I looked at him and I said, you know what you got to do, JD? You got to let your fear overcome your scaredness of dying. You got to ride like I don't give a fuck. Just let it go, man. If I crash and burn, I crash and burn. That's how I ride. What's going to happen is going to happen. A lot of times when I thought shit was going to, like bad, where we were in a bike wreck and we hit a retread tire on the road, and we tried to spread out like this because it was laying right in the road, standing up, the whole tire, and there was brand new shoulder on the left side where I was, all gravel, and you know what happens when you hit gravel. So I was not about to hit the gravel and go tumbling down the road. And all I had on was my patch and a tank top. So, it would have been full road rash for me. And I was riding next to a brother from Massachusetts. His name is Don Kahn, And Don yells, "Look out!" And he went this way, and I kind of went like that. And his kid was about three people behind him. And right behind me was a brother named Kevin from Lowell, Massachusetts. And he's the only one in the pack, Ian, that had his old lady on the bike. And I always tell guys, don't, man. 30 years I've been riding, I've seen 4 old ladies get killed. So in my head, it's bad juju, right? I never take my wife on a road trip, never. You want to meet me there? Fly there and I'll come pick you up. Because the road's where you get killed. The road is the road, man. It was a rough road to live, And he was right behind me with his girl on the bike. I hit that fucking tire, flew over it. This is what they told me, because when I hit it, it felt like I hit a brick. And I flew over it, tore my foot pegs off my bike. And then I went into the stones. The stones were so deep that my bike just went like a truck ramp. I got off the bike, it was standing up by itself. I didn't even have to put the kickstand down. That's how deep I went in the stones. So then I turned the bike off. I'm looking around. I didn't know the foot pegs were knocked off. But what happened was when it sheared the foot pegs off, my feet hit the ground at 60 miles an hour. My bike went into a high-speed wobble because my feet hit the ground. And that's when I went into the stones. But just as I was doing that, I looked at my mirror and I seen Kevin hit that thing go boom, 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 tumbling. And, he had his old lady on her, I told you that.
Wow.
So when I ran back over, he was getting up from the ground and his helmet was just totally smashed and all ground up, and his arm was all raw and shit. And he was whoa, half out of it. And I said, I ran up to him, I said, "Are you all right?" And he goes, yeah. He goes, "Where's Georgia?" That was her name, He goes, "Where's Georgia?" And I said, "I'm gonna go see." I ran over. This is the weirdest part. It's the only way I could show it to you. This is the bike, right? She's sitting on the bike like this. The bike's laying on the ground. Her leg was bent like that. Her other leg was under the bike, so I couldn't see it like that. Her arms were laying straight out like this, and her eyes were open. She's looking straight up at the sky. And the whole top of her head was gone. Oh, yeah, her brain was running out of her head on the ground. Now, we're in Vegas, right? So it's like 114 out. It was like, I could see it percolating, bubbling on the ground, cooking like an egg. I'll never forget it, bro, and that's one of my sleepy things, okay?
Is that because the pavement
she had a bullshit helmet on, one of those, what do you call them, novelty helmets?
Yeah. And
he was wearing a real one.
Did you always wear a helmet?
I always wore a helmet. Bro.
What do you think about the bikers that don't wear the helmets?
I didn't believe in the helmet, and I crashed in Minnesota. I broke my wrist, my scapula, my ribs, and my pelvis. Had no helmet on, bro. I hit the ground, and I slid for 40 feet, and I just was like ice skating. And I slid, and I just stopped, and I punctured my lung. I could barely breathe, but I never hit my head. Not that I was that good and stuff. It was just pure luck, that's what I say. That I kept my head up. I kept my head off the pavement. Thank God I didn't hit my head when I hit the ground. But when I hit the ground at 40, you know, everything on the left side of my body broke. Boom! When I hit that cement, that cement doesn't give away at all.
Wow. Was it normal to go from one motorcycle club to the Hells Angels?
It is. You know why? Because I think if you got most of those guys in a room, hey, where are you from, Ian? What club were you? You were in this club? Like, it's like you start off in these little clubs, right? And you want to move to the big leagues, you know. So you're the minor leagues. You want to move into the major leagues. Mm-hmm. Oh, what'd you pick the Hells Angels for? Oh, I want to go to the top of the food chain, you know. And most of the guys in that club, the very few that you will find say, no, I was in never no other club. I just came right into this club. They wanna progress and move on to the bigger one. Like my guys in the Sinners, when I saw the Hells Angels, I told Schultz, I said, hey man, that's what I want to be. And I walked right up to one of them, stood next to him, he looked, and guess who it was? Ralph. He was the first Hells Angel I really talked to, met. He's standing by the fence, he's smoking a cigarette, you know, and like I said, he's big, broad-shouldered guy, you know, he could fight like a son of a bitch too, man. And I walked up to him, I looked at him, he looked at me, and I said, hey, how you doing? He goes, good. I said, hey, man, I'm Pee-wee, Sinners, Wisconsin. And he goes, Ralph, Hells Angels, Minneapolis. Shook hands. Since we got done shaking hands, I'm standing there. I'm wearing my Sinner patch. I look at him, I go, so what do I got to do to be you, Ralph? And he goes, where do you live? I said, Wisconsin, Milwaukee. He goes, move to where we are. That's all he said. He walked away.
And that's all it took? You just had to move there?
Well, yeah. Well, I had to hang around. They made me hang around for 3 years to get to know me.
And is that the prospecting phase, or?
No. Then after the 3 years of hanging around, usually like in Canada, they're very strict. They make you hang around with them. Not official hang around either. Hang around, just you and me as friends. Hang around for 5 years. Then they get to know you after 5 years. Then you become a hang around. Then you become a prospect. Then you become a member. Fuck, by the time you're done, bro, you already got 10 years in, you know? And you're just finally coming to get your patch.
When you joined, did you ever think you were going to get a leadership position?
Not to be arrogant or anything like that. Yeah, I did. Because when I joined the Sinners, I was only there 1 year. And after 1 year, the guys all voted me in as president. And then I was the president for Milwaukee Sinners the whole time. And then they took a vote for the three charters to make me their national president.
Wow.
So I knew I had that leadership quality in me. And when I played football, like in high school, and I played semi-pro football too for Racine Gladiators, I was always a team captain. I was a team captain in wrestling. Then I was in a car club. They all voted me president of the car club. So with all that being said, you know, I knew I had that leadership quality about me. I knew I did. And it wasn't what I was really looking for. Like, I get in there, I want to be president, you know? It just came about where they just said, hey, man, we want you to run the show. And every year, you know, somebody just sitting at the table, I could just say, hey, you know what, man, Pee-wee, I don't, you know, no offense, I don't think you're, you know, up to par doing the job the way you should do it, you know. I want to bring Ian up, you know, for president. And somebody can go, I'm going to second it. Next thing you know, let's bring it to a vote. Majority vote, you're president, I'm out. That's how fast it goes.
So is it a lot of it just politics and networking, building relationships?
Yes. And it's like I said in the book, man, it's become so, the club, you know, in my heart, I just wish they would get back to being the old pictures of the old Hells Angels that they were, man, that people grew up idolizing. Man, I want to be a Hells Angel. It's so corporate now that, I mean, honestly, bro, I mean, you got a meeting every week for your charter. Then you got a once a month meeting, OM. Then you got to go Oakland or Purdue, you know, on the West Coast. East Coast, they switch around all the time, different places. Then every, I think, 2 or 3 months, they got a corporate meeting. Then every year they got a world meeting. You got to go to the world meeting. All these meetings. I wrote in a book, I said, man, get back to the roots, man. Get back to just drinking beer, riding motorcycles, fucking broads. You know what I mean? Just doing the shit that you like doing, back being bikers free.
Where do you think it all changed and went wrong down that path?
I could see it changing from 1994 to the, like 2005, whatever the hell. I could see the difference. One of the big things I always seen was when we came around the club, like in '94, if you were in prison, I was in prison, you and I would always get like postcards from everywhere they go. I'd see in prison, hey, Ian, I got one too, bro. We'd have like a collection of postcards, hundreds of them, for everywhere they go. And everybody signs it, hey, brother, I love you, bro, and everything, everybody's name on it. You can read all the names, all the guys that signed that you know personally, and I seen that go away. I didn't see like prospects coming up to us anymore saying, hey, need you to sign this, we sign this. So it stopped, and then I think they like some charters probably still do. They take care of their guys and stuff, but man, I seen too many changes, and I was just like, I loved it so much, but then it was like hurting me to see it like diminishing. It was they were like, best word for it is like I put in the book. They were like sharks. They smell blood in the water and they started eating their own, where I seen them like when they jumped the Philly guys, and I was sitting right there. They told me, hey, stand up, take your patches off, you're done. Just like that. And the guys all stood up, and Repo's one of the guys standing back. He says, fuck you, come and get him. And there was only 5 of them, man. And then the guys walked by, and as they walked by me, they said, come on, Pee-wee. You're always up for a good fight, like I told you I was. I said, nah, not when it's fighting brothers. Because in my heart, bro, like I said, I grew up with 3 sisters. I didn't have a blood brother. And for a guy, like if you got blood brothers, you know what it is, like growing up with a brother, hey, it's your brother, You guys get in scuffles and fights, but you love each other, you're brothers. I think that's what I was looking for. So in one way, it was cool because they wouldn't let nobody disrespect you, which you shouldn't. So as a prospect, I could fight you as a full member, even if you were the president, I could fight you. I thought that was cool, but fight you for a legit reason, bro. Not just, to see who's got the bigger balls in the pen, So I seen that all going away, like when they went over there and they jumped those guys. And then when those guys were fighting back, then the whole room got up and attacked them. And I was sitting next to a new guy, and I just looked at him and I says, hey, you see what's going on here, man? And he goes, what the fuck? You can only imagine if you were brand new. I mean, what would you be thinking? I mean, you're seeing them attack another charter. And I mean, bro, they were breaking their arms. They broke the one guy's neck. And I looked over, and they said, hey, what's going on? I stood up, I said, fuck it, we're out of here, man. And the guy with me was a tattoo artist, and I said, hey, he's a tattoo guy. Make him stick around. We're going to have him black these guys' tattoos out. I said, nah, no fucking way. And I left. And it was bad. It was bad. Then I saw it again in Lake of the Ozarks. Where they walked by me, and I'm sitting there with an old member from Oakland, and I had a big respect for him. I still do. His name was Fuzzy, and he used to be a New York member, and now he's in Oakland. And like I said, big respect for the guy. I love him. And him and I were just sitting there shooting this shit. And as they walk by, they go, hey, Pee-wee, come on, man, we're going to go jack up the Michigan guys. I mean, telling you this, you got to be sitting here right now in your head going, what the fuck?
Well, it doesn't make sense going against your own people.
Exactly,
like that.
Bro. So you can see this. I mean, who can't see this? So I look at them and I go, what? And they go, come on. And I see a bunch of them all walking over, and there's only 4 guys from Michigan there, and they were mad because they weren't taking care of business. They were the only nomad charter in the whole state of Michigan that was all outlaws. What did you want them to do? Run around and just start popping caps in people? And is it smarter to do it smart way, or is it the way to do it stupid, get caught and go to prison, and then, hey, maybe you'll get a postcard. You know what I mean? Maybe you won't. I remember this member that committed 2 murders. He was doing 2 life sentences. Polak John, I went to see him as a prospect, and he told me, Pee-wee, whatever you do in that club, do it smart. Don't be stupid like me. In a split of a second, I didn't use my head. I pulled the trigger on those guys. Now I'm sitting here rotting in this hole. I just did 25 years. Now I'm on my 2nd life sentence. He said, these guys send me postcards. I got books and books of postcards. He goes, all I am is a burden to the club. I took that all in, bro. I was just watching him, his face expressions, and he was just like, I'm not doing good for anybody. He says, I should have used my head more. He goes, do it smart, okay? Be smart. So 20 years from now, you can sit there with a partner in yours and go, hey, remember that thing we did? Hey, that was cool, man. You know what I mean? You can laugh about it. And when he said that, it meant a lot to me, Obviously, it didn't work for me at the wedding chapel because I was on film, beating the shit out of the guy. So.
How long did it take for you to become president?
Oh shit, man! When I got in 2001 in San Francisco because it didn't work out for me in Minnesota. Oh yeah, we're bumping heads, me and Pat Matter. Which it was bad because I liked Pat. You know what I mean? I don't know why he had a hair up his ass for me. Maybe it was because I was 10 feet tall and he was 3 feet tall. I don't know what it was. And then that bullshit he said on A&E, I was like, oh, this guy, he's killing me. But I became a member like in 2001 in San Francisco. I was there, and bro, I'm telling you, man, Frisco is hard. One of my brothers I love dearly, Tony, he's out of the club. He told me, hey, man, I hope you make it here. I'm riding in the car, I look at him, I go, what do you mean? And he goes, usually people who ain't from here, they don't make it here. They usually leave, or they run down the road, or they quit. And I said, why? And he goes, they just can't make it here. Ian, I couldn't understand what he meant by that. And I'll tell you what it is. The cost of living out there is crazy, right? So I'm living in a little tiny 1-room apartment in the back of the clubhouse, $800 a month. And then when I got there, they said, hell, you're a Teamster. Oh, get you a job. We know the Teamsters real good. Okay, I go down there. The guy goes, there ain't no jobs. There ain't no driving jobs. And I go, wow. So I kind of was like, now what do I do? And one of the guys in the club hooks me up with this guy named Tony, this other guy, Tony, that owns these nightclubs, And he's got one downtown called the Dog Pound, where these rock bands played at. Then he had this other one, the Cats Club, and that was kind of a weirdo one, Bonnage a Go-Go on Wednesdays, guys on spinning wheels, shackled to them, chicks tasing their ball sacks. Yeah, I'm telling you the truth, bro. We were in there. The whole club would go in there, and the guy's on a spinning wheel, and he's spinning around. Every time he'd come upside down, she was like, it was nuts, I'm like, whoa. But yeah, shit like that. Yeah. Or, tiny girls up there, boom, boom, guy socking her in the stomach. Weird shit, man. Guy walking around with a priest outfit. This guy got beat up by one of the guys in the club. He had a priest outfit on, the little white collar thing, and it's hanging down and stuff like that. He's walking around, he's got a strap-on on. I'm just trying to tell you, San Francisco, bro, okay? So your mind's got to open up on that, right? You know what's bad? When I took my wife for a ride on the bike down the street, and 2 homosexuals were walking down the street holding hands, and my wife says to me, how come you never hold my hand like that? So that's just to show you how intense that place is, right? So this guy's walking around with the strap on, and one of the other members says to me, hey, man, are you Catholic? I look at him, I go, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I went to Catholic school. I was an altar boy. I said, so was I. And he goes, I find it offensive, that dude wearing that dildo, man. I'm going to fuck him up. And I said, hey, it's weirdo night, man. It's Wednesday. You come in here, you know it's weirdo night. So you go over to fuck with this guy. He's not really a priest. I don't care. He went over and he punched the guy. And then, Tony's like, oh, hey, man, you guys can't come in there and do that. But it was cool. And we would go in there. He would put us in the VIP section. We were there one night with No Doubt, the band. They were sitting up there with us. Not Gwen. She wasn't there. The guys were there.
Yeah.
And, I had fun prospecting there. I really did, Rudy's was one of my favorite guys, man. And he just got out of prison. And he was like, hey, Holmes, man. He keeps going over, like, God damn, man, he's got to piss, right? And they had one of those piss troughs, like where it's the big stainless steel troughs, not urinals, and everybody's pissing in it. And it was like, it was full. The pisser was full. The shitter, there's only one shitter in there, and the guy's standing there pissing. So, and then there's a line against the wall, and it was a long line, man. And Rudy's like, man, I'm about to piss myself. And I said, bro, I was a prospect, and I would stand like right by the gate so nobody could go in VIP. I go, bro, you got to piss? And he goes, yeah. Why didn't you say so? I just walk in the bathroom, the guy's standing there, his hand, he's pissing. I grab his belt, I grab him by the back of the neck. I pull him right away from the urinal. I mean, his shit's spraying all over the place. I run him, throw him right out the door. And I walk over, hey, I told the guy, don't go in there. Go ahead, Rudy. Rudy goes, you kill me, Holmes. But that's just the way I was, man, And Rudy went in there, took a piss. He was all happy. But I had fun in Frisco, but I just couldn't make it there, bro. And then the words of Tony came to me, hope you make it here. I was struggling, man. So I worked 4 hours a night, $25 an hour, $100 a night. But I'd only work like 4 nights, I should say. 4 nights a week, $400. Come on, bro. I just told you I was paying $800 for the room in the back of the clubhouse. So that's half the month's money. And then I got to live off the other $800, pay the dues every week, put gas in my bike, put gas in my van, buy food, eat, all that shit, man. Bro, it was hard. I was struggling, man. And I was like, man, I just, I don't think I can make it here, man. Unless something changes drastically, I said, either I'm going to have to quit. And I didn't want to because, I love being a Hell's Angel. I said, I have to quit or I'm going to have to move someplace where I can work. And they said, well, where do you want to move to? And this is what I said. I said, I'm thinking Las Vegas because this club should be in Las Vegas. It's a big city. It's fun capital of the world here, right? I mean, no, I should say the United States. It's adult playland, I think we should be there. Well, if you want to do that, just let us know. So when I said, yeah, they gave me permission. They said, yeah, go, and you got to get like a letter to go. But you have to have 6 guys to have a charter. One guy, to start a new charter, you got to have 1 5-year member. So I got him from San Diego. And I had to recruit, bro. I had to hey, Ian, you want to come here? You want to come to Vegas, man? Be in the charter? So I had to do my homework, bro. And I got all these guys together, and we started Las Vegas.
And you automatically become president when you start a charter?
Well, we sat down and I said, okay, who wants to be president? Everybody just sat there. They go, why don't you be president? I said, well, I'm asking you, who you want me to be president? And they said, yeah. And I said, okay. And I was the whole time.
So what does it mean to have a charter in a new state like that? Does that mean you're just riding around? Like, what is like a day-to-day?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of riding around, trying to get seen, known that we're there. Oh, believe me, the cops knew we were there. And, they told me when they pulled me over, hey, we hate you. We don't want you here. And it reminded me of the old movie Hell's Angels 69 when they ran him out. Remember? They told him, get out of here. They told Sonny and the guys, take him to the state line. The cops followed him right to the state line, ran him out of Las Vegas. They told me either they were going to kill me or put me in prison. I'm glad they did the one and not the other one. So they were, you know what? They were pretty hard on us all the time. I had two assholes, Pearson and McDermott, two cops. And it was funny, on an A&E special, they had the one on there.
Oh, they got him on there?
Yeah, they got
I
him
gotta
on
watch
there.
that.
I think it was Pearson. You got to watch it. It's at episode 4.
Okay.
And you'll laugh because he's on there. And I don't know why the A&E guy says, yeah, he's British, he's from London. And he says, I would talk to Pee-wee. He says, you're an asshole. You can hear him say it. And he goes, yeah, he would say that. Well, at least he's thinking about me. That's what he said, right? But they were busting my balls, bro. I mean, man, nonstop pulling me over, jacking me up. And I had a party, a birthday party, and for my 50th birthday, and it was way out in Armagosa, which is 100 miles outside of Las Vegas. And I rented the whole casino out there, 50 rooms. I rented every one, all the ballrooms, everything. The only thing I couldn't rent, bro, was the casino itself. That's public. You know what I mean? But that was downstairs. I just came out of a room. I was in there with Cisco from Oakland. I just came out of a room. I opened the door and I walk out. And it was funny because we were just in there smoking some weed, And I come walking out and I look, and here's like 4 cops in the green jumpsuits, task force, gang task force, Pearson and McDermott. So I'm trying to think, why are you out here, man? I'm 100 miles. I'm not even in Clark County. I'm in Nye County. I'm like almost to the California border. And I walked out. First thing I said, what are you assholes doing here? They go, hey, don't talk to us like that. And I went, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. And he says, no, we're not leaving. I said, oh, the hell you ain't. I told one of the guys, I said, go down and get Bob. Bob was the guy that ran the place. He comes up and I says, Bob, tell these guys that I rented all this. I want them out of here. And I'm afraid so. He said, he did. Excuse me. He says, he did. He rented all of this. This is all his. You guys got to go downstairs. And McDermott says to him, well, I'll listen to you, but I'm not taking orders from some convicted felon, right? I said, suck balls. And he looks over at me and he goes, well, have a nice birthday party, Pee-wee. I said, well, I will if you get the fuck out of here. And then one of the other guys says, well, aren't we allowed to be here? This is a public casino. And he goes, downstairs it is. Up here it's all private. You don't have a room up here. You have to leave. Oh, they didn't like it, bro. They didn't like it at all. So as they're leaving, they got right to the stairs and they turn around and they go, good night, Pee-wee, have a good night. I said, suck a dick. And they left and everybody laughed. They said, man, it was funny the way you tell them off. I told them always like that off. And then what I did was I had all these people. When I went to the cop station, they had my patch. They took my patch when they arrested me one time. Bro, I don't even know how they did it. As big as I was, I always wore denim, so I didn't have the leather one, right? So I had denim. They folded that son of a bitch, I swear to God, about this big. It was like this big, about that big around. My big vest. They folded and they rolled it. Man, when I opened it up, bro, it looked like an accordion. I burned it. I had to burn the thing, man, because I couldn't wear it anymore. They wrecked it. But when I went to pick it up from the police station, I'm standing there and I look over and I see all this paperwork you can grab, for drug addicts and rehab and blah, blah. I look down and I see this complaint, police complaint, about bad cops. I grabbed the whole pack, plowed through. There had to be 50 of them. And I went and I told all these guys, get their wives and daughters and everything over, and I said, everybody writing in different handwriting. I was stopped by, because they were partners in the car, by Pearson and McDermott. And they tried to like sexually assault me, and oh my God, bro. I had people write all kinds of shit about them. Yeah, they were trying to extort me and just bad stuff. Even if it was true or not true, it didn't matter. Because you know why? It goes in their file. So when they want to make sergeant or they want to make something like that,
It haunts them.
haunts them, bro. It's in their file. And I'm going to tell you this. We sent them in, and when I put them in the box, they never ever bothered me again. I never saw them again. Never. Until A&E put that dick on TV.
I wonder how they even found him.
Yeah, because I don't remember telling the story I just told
Someone
you.
must have said something, right? Or maybe they found out that they were doing the show and
Yeah,
he reached
maybe they were
out.
doing their little investigation, but
Yeah,
he came out and he had a suit on. I don't even know if he's a cop yet. I mean, he was all clean cut and stuff. But bro, just the shit I went through with those guys,
How many members did you grow the chapter to?
The first one I had the Las Vegas charter was like about 8 of us. It stayed right around 8. And then I broke off from that one. I broke off. I said, I'm going to start one on the west end of town. You know me, I already was planning east, west, north, south. I was going to monopolize that city. So I broke off, started another one. I couldn't call it Las Vegas because Las Vegas was already over here. So I started Sin City, and that's what I was at, right? So our logo was Sin City's baddest, and that was our side rocker. And I started Sin City, and we started getting guys, and just my report going out, meeting guys. And, hey man, I want to be you. They started hanging around. We had so many hang-arounds, and I got it up to like 12 members, and we had like 4 prospects. So yeah, we're doing pretty good,
And what was your job as president?
It's weird, when you're a president of a charter, you basically just run the meetings and shit. Because if you were the president, you couldn't like say, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna have a new roof put on the house because this roof is leaking and stuff." No, you had to go, "Hey, we need a new roof on the house, man. So let's take a vote." How many guys? We got to do this. It's going to cost us. We got to put this much money in, and we all got to raise our hands and vote. Because they're all telling you, hey, we're Hells Angels. We don't go by like a national president or, a national, vice national. Like, they don't have any of that. It's just presidents individual of each charter, which now is coming back to haunt them because now they're arresting guys. And if 2 or 3 in the same charter are doing that crime, now they're hitting them with the RICO. So I'm just giving you an example. Like if they say, okay, Kansas City, Missouri, that charter, which there ain't no charter there, but if that was a charter, they'd say, these guys are under the RICO because we caught them all selling meth or doing whatever, stealing bikes, something like that. That's what's biting them in the ass now. Do I believe, like the Banditos and Outlaws and everybody, they have a national president? Yeah, I believe they should do that. Because they tell you one man, one vote, that's their big logo, their big theory. That's bullshit. It's all bullshit. When they ran me down the road in Minnesota, the guys all told me, we never voted on you. Like, what do you mean? Patrick said he wanted you out. We said, out, what, out, like for good? He goes, out. I want him out. So nobody voted. Pat just called me in the room and said, hey, you're just not cutting it, so I'll run you down the road out and good and come back in a year.
What year was this when they did that? to you?
94.
That was 94. And you did get to come back then?
Yeah, and I did come back. And when I came back, I said, I'm going to Frisco. But it took me 4 years to come back because every time I came back, there was a guy there that didn't like me, right? His name was Hans. We call him Schwanz. And he didn't like me for some reason. And he said, no, I'm never going to vote for him. So then Pat says, you're not going to get in. This guy's never going to vote for you. So he kept playing that game. And then when he left, he got in a bike crash and his head wasn't all there. So they kind of pushed him out. And then they told me, hey, yeah, you come back. I wasn't going to let them fuck me the second time, bro. I had that gut feeling, you know. You always go with your gut. And I said, I got to get out of here, man. So I went to Frisco. I made it in Frisco, which was cool because, you know, Frisco is the second charter of Hell's Angels after Purdue that, you know, it's history. They're like, you know, they're well known for that. And it was cool being in Frisco charter. It really was. It was an honor. But it was just too hard for me to make it out there. That's the only reason I left. Believe me, I didn't want to leave because I didn't like none of the guys, and it had nothing to do with that. I was like good with all them guys. I loved them all, you know. And it's funny, you know, that none of them would talk to me, you know, because I'm all bad and stuff. So it doesn't matter because I still, you know, I still talk to like JP and stuff. He just got out and he's all bad and stuff. But I love that dude to death. And me and him prospected together. And we did some hellacious, funny shit, man. I mean, really, bro. You know, going down, picking up the Mexicans down by Cesar Chavez. Yeah, it was Cesar Chavez Road or something. We'd go down there. It'd be like a Home Depot, and they'd all be standing there waiting for work. And we were prospects, and we were supposed to do this, do that. We'd go get those guys to do it. And JP had money, so he would always pay him the money, and we wouldn't have to do it. But we never tell anybody. But when we go down there, you know me, man, bro, you would have cracked up. You would have been pissing in your pants because I'd get out and I'd say, hey, we need 4 guys. And, you know, 20 come run into the van. Hey, they're all like funny again. I said, hey, whoever can get in the van, I'll take. They start getting down, bro. They're like punching each other and they're fighting. Oh my God, we're laughing. We're crying. It was so funny. And one guy would get in, his nose is bleeding, you know, and he get in, I'm in, you know. And I go, hold on. All right, I got 4. The rest of you go. Go back, get back. And I shut the door. Some of them be in there beat up, you know, but they got in the van. And then we get over there and we say, hey, we want you guys to carry that wood upstairs. 3 stories of stairs. 3 stories of stairs. Bro, I'm talking I-beams. You know what I'm talking? You know what I mean?
The big thick ones, the heavy ones,
like
the little
this?
ones. Yeah.
Like this thick?
Yep.
This tall? Yeah. 3 of them for headers. They were going to remodel the upstairs. And all this wood, all these 2x4s. Bro, a whole semi-load of shit was dropped off there. And they told us, you 3 prospects, get your ass over there and get that shit upstairs. We got the Mexican guys that do it, you know? And we're up there, we're watching them. And man, they're walking up the stairs, 3 of them carrying one of those planks I'm telling you about. And they're going upstairs, and me and JP are just, we're crying, bro. We are crying because you're, you know, they're talking Spanish, you know, and they're like falling down on the stairs because it's so heavy. And Dennis, who was with us too, the other prospect, he's funny because he says, this ain't right, man. This ain't right. We should be out there carrying that wood. I said, well, go ahead, man. Go ahead. We ain't doing it. I ain't breaking my back. And the stairs were old, bro. They were really old. And when they were coming up, I could see the stairs shaking. I was thinking, fuck, man, those stairs break. Those guys are dead, you know? They got all the wood up there. And then we gave them waters and stuff like that. And, man, we paid them good. We paid them pretty good. I think we gave them like $60, $70 a piece. They were only there a couple hours. And then we're taking them back. And it was funny, you know, I'm driving in the van. I look in the back and I see the one talking to the other one. Like his back is gone. Oh, man. Every time I see if I talk to JP, he brings that up and we laugh. We laugh over and over about that.
Now, as president, do you still need to work a regular job to make money, or are there revenue sources?
Yeah. I was a Teamster, you know what I mean? I worked in the movie industry.
Yeah, I saw all the pictures
You saw
today.
the pictures, bro. So
I think that's like a big misconception about like motorcycle clubs, you know, like that you're not working or that like it's just like this big criminal enterprise and you're making money.
Well, that's what they thought it was be. Like when I first got to Vegas, I had to sit down with, you know, the guys with fedoras and all that. I had to sit down with them, and the first words to me were, what are your intentions here? And I said, well, what do you mean? We just want to survive. Well, I mean, what are you guys, you guys going to be selling like dope, guns, and just, no. None of that shit, man. I said, I'll make sure everybody in my charter's working. And I said, we're just here to survive and exist. That's what's important to me. And they said, okay. Because, you can't do any of that shooting up cowboy shit that you did in Laughlin. And I said, well, I said, sometimes shit happens, but I said, no, we just want to exist. And after a while, not that guy, naturally his name was Vinny, right? That guy, I really didn't care for him anyway, but, he kind of lays out to me. And if you guys plan on coming in here, it's a strip club, plan on coming in here, no more than 3 or 4 of you guys at a time, because you guys scare customers off. And I should say, listen, we don't even give a fuck about this place. You can have it, man. I ain't hanging out here. I don't give a fuck about this place. So don't worry about seeing me. But I know some of the guys wanted to go in there, but I didn't give a shit. I didn't go there. And then, naturally it was on the front page of the news, Columbia family or whatever, busted and the whole thing. But then I knew a lot of the older guys that were like real laid back, quiet, and I got a really good relationship with them, bro. Even to this day, I still talk to them. They call me up, hey, kiddo. They're like in their late 80s, I'm going to be 68 and they call me kiddo. And they'll call me and they'll say, hey, how you doing and stuff like that. And I'm good, When I went away to prison, they had a party for me, a going away party, with live doo-wop bands playing. I'm bullshitting you on the stage. Food laid out. It was at the Italian American Club. Yeah. And it's where they shot the scene in Goodfellas. Mm-hmm. The guy goes, is this your pen? The guy goes, shove that pen up your ass. Remember that? And Pesci, with the pen, that's the bar.
Really?
Yeah, that's the bar. With the statues and everything outside. They had the big statues when showed them leaving. Yeah, that's the place.
Why'd you end up going to prison?
We got in a fight with the Mongols at a wedding chapel. My son was getting married. And we were just about done, Ian. Just about done, man. I mean, the wedding was over. They were married. All we had to do was take a couple of family photos and we were done. Now, the rest of the guys all walked out the side door and they're all standing there. Here comes Mongols pulling in. They didn't pull in motorcycles. They were in cars. And when they pulled in, there was about 12 of them. And when they saw the angels standing there, they got out when they started walking over and they said, so, I don't know what the angels said to them. I wasn't out there, so, I don't want to fabricate anything they said. But whatever they said to them, like 5 of the Mongols took off running. And I could hear this girl inside. I was inside the building. I could hear this girl outside yell, go get the fucking guns. And I'm like, what the hell was that all about, right? So they take off running, 5 guys. So I just told you there's like 11 of them, right? So that only leaves like 6 guys left. And there was about 14 of us. And I'm inside, and the prospect comes in, and he says to me, hey, Pee-wee, we got problems. I'm standing, and I had my glass in my head, and I was, all dressed up real nice, I never carried weapons on me, ever, bro. Knife, not even a knife. I was a fighter, man, I did my damage with my hands. So I said, I guess I was flabbergasted. I just was like, what? He said, the Mongols are outside. I said, what do you mean they're outside? I think what I thought he meant is like they drove by on the street or something. Who cares? He said, they're outside and they're in the lobby. Well, now, I'm like, I already knew because who I was, not me personally, what I was. That's a better way of saying it. What I was, that I had to take care of this because I was all about that. So, I went like this. And I said, they're in the lobby. He goes, yeah. I took my sunglasses and I put them down on my face. I said, well, he goes, what are we going to do? I said, well, there's only one thing we can do. And this is how stupid they are. I turn around and walk to the lobby, and they all walk this way. They all walk to go out the side door, And it's on the video. You can find the video. It's the funniest. If you can find the video, the weirdest one that shows the most, it was on a TV show called, oh my God, something in the courtroom, like where they always have the people talking on there, like world's dumbest people, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was on that, like world's dumbest court things or whatever it was.
Like crime or
Disorder
something?
in the Courts.
Okay.
That's what it's called. Disorder in the Courts, number 19. So, you got like judges on there, cops, lawyers. Well, it's like red flag to the bull, Hell's Angels, Mongols, oh man, So that's the shit they're saying. And then when I walked out into the lobby, the other guys you can see down the film, they turn around, they run behind me to catch up to me, but I was already out there by myself. I walked out there and he was standing there, and he's looking around like this, and you could see he was nervous, right? He's looking around. He was their president. He was. I'm not going to say it was like he was probably as big as George, He's standing there and he's looking around, and when he looked like this way, even out of his side vision, he saw me coming. Right, I was walking toward him. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you. You already know I was going to fuck him up. You know what I mean? But I wanted to say something to him, like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? I just wanted to hear his bullshit or whatever. I was going to talk to him at first. I really was. So I came around the corner when I saw him, and he did this. He's standing there. It turns out, and now he caught me, and I was like right where his camera is, right? And he caught me. And he went like this, man, like right into his pocket. Hey, bro, I'm no idiot. You know what I mean? Either I'm going to get shot, I'm going to get stabbed. So boom, 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 boom. I lit him up. I hit him the first time, boom, and he fell out. Boom, I hit him with an uppercut. He hit the ground. And then I jumped on him, bam, bam. I only hit him 7 times. I knocked a couple of his teeth out. He was laying there, and there was a huge puddle of blood around his head. And then I got up, and when I was down on the ground, my own guys run over to start kicking this guy. I don't need no help. I don't need no help with nobody, bro. They run over to stomp on this guy. They're stomping on me. Yeah, and I actually looked up and went, hey! And I had to back them off because they were stomping on my back. And then they all backed off. And then when I got up, they says, hey, bro, your head's cut open or something. My head wasn't cut open. My face is full of blood from his splattering into mine. There's nothing wrong with me, man. I was knuckle busting this guy, And I went to walk out the door, and as I was walking out the door, I know it. Johnny runs over to this guy. He's out of the club. He's a piece of shit, And he runs over and he stabs a guy in the back. And I could say that because it was on video. And this son of a bitch calls me like, when we're still in the club, did you snitch on me? Did I snitch on you? Bro, did you watch the films? When they put it on TV, they had a green arrow around his head with a arrow following him. He walks over, opens the knife, you see him. 2 guys, closes his knife, runs out the door. I don't have to tell on you, bro. You told on yourself.
And now you're tied into this, though, because you were a part of it.
Right. So I got charged with attempted murder, conspiracy to attempted murder. 13 counts they hit me with. It was crazy, man. And it pissed me off because, seriously, even if you're not a tough guy, do you really got to run over and stab a fucking guy laying on the ground that ain't even moving? To me, that would belittle me. That would make me a coward. I don't do shit like that. That'd be like me running over and kicking the guy in the face while he's laying there.
Yeah, you can't do that.
He's done. Leave it alone. He's done. Just like in a ring. Bing, bing, bing. Bell went off. He's out.
Did you go to trial for that, or you pled out?
Yeah.
You went to trial?
I wanted to go to trial. I was the last one to hold out. And you know why I had to take a plea? Because 6 Hell's Angels, well, I shouldn't say 6 Hell's Angels. It was probably, there were 6 of them. 1, 2, 3. 3 weren't, and then Brendan, 3 Hells Angels and 3 citizens that were involved in the fight. They all took a plea bargain to felony battery coercion. Promised 2 years probation on the street. They don't go to jail. So they were happy. They jumped on it. We'll take it. What does that do, man? You and me commit a crime together. We both say we're not guilty. 6 months down the road, they come to me and they say, hey, still going to plead not guilty? And I say, yeah. Your buddy Ian, he pled out. You fucked me then, man. You literally screwed me. You threw me under the bus because you pled out to a crime, you know what I mean, that we're saying we're not guilty of. So when they came to me, they said, hey, you guys already pled out. And I said, wow. And I'm sitting in my lawyer's office and the DA was there and I said, well, then I guess I'll just take the same deal they did. Not for you. No, I ain't flying for you. We want you to do a 4 to 8. I go, 4 to 8 on a fucking fist fight? Come on, man. I think they were trying to stick me for Laughlin because we basically beat the Laughlin case. They're like, we're not getting away with this one, you know? So I said, no, man. I'm not doing a 4 to 8. I'll take this all the way, man. I'll take it all the way to trial. Okay? And they leave, then naturally, your attorney, which I forgot to tell you, my first attorney, I gave $20,000 to. He won $45,000. I gave him $20,000. I never hear from the guy.
He robbed you.
Well, that's a good word, bro. That's what he did. So he took the $20,000, and all of a sudden I get a call, and I get a call from his office. I go down there, and paralegal girl that was working with him, she comes up, hi, Pee Wee. And I said, hey, what's going on? I got some bad news. And I said, what's that? She goes, Donahue doesn't work for the firm anymore. And I go, what? And she goes, yeah, he's not with the firm, and he's been disbarred. He's not a lawyer anymore. I go, why? She goes, I can't tell you why. I go, hey, listen, I gave that punk $20,000, man, to represent me. You're going to tell me right now why. I'm not leaving here without you telling me why. She goes, oh, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but he was caught stealing money. And I go, oh, man, so I guess my $20,000 he stole. She goes, yeah. I said, now what am I going to do? 2 months to trial. 2 months to go to trial. And she looks at me, she goes, listen to me. I know I'm just a paralegal, but I've been working on your case really hard, and I think I can do your case. I looked at her, and I said, are you kidding me? And she goes, no, I really think I can do this. If you give me a chance. I said, listen, honey, you're paralegal. Have you ever done a case ever? I did a domestic violence once. I said, how'd you do on that? She goes, I lost it, but that was in the early stages. I've learned a lot since then. And I says, well, I'm William Wallace, you know? And they want my head on a chopping block. I can't let you go in there thinking you're going to win, and next thing I'm doing a life sentence. I said, I can't do it. She goes, please let me do it. And then when she did that, she was getting on my nerves, you know? And I just looked at her and I said, no, I'm out of here, man. I says, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And she goes, give me a chance. Just give me a fighting chance. I said, listen, honey, there's no way I'm going to let you defend me. I wouldn't even fuck you. You know? That's why I had to say something, man, put her in shock, you know? And she was like, eh. So I walked out of there, and then the other lawyer I found was Tom Erickson. And when I got Tom, he's real straight-laced guy. I mean, he don't swear or anything, you know? You know what's bad, Ian, when you're sitting there and he looks at me and goes, can I ask you something, dude? I go, what's that? He goes, what's it feel like to punch another guy in the face? I've never been in a fight. I said, it feels really good. It feels really good. I can't believe you just asked me that. You know, that kind of freaked me out, you know, because I want this guy, but he was a good lawyer. And I got the state to agree to pay him as my lawyer because of what happened to me. So I think they paid him $120 an hour for every time he put in his hours that he was working, they paid him. So I was grateful for that. And I didn't have to pay anymore, thank God. But, after I told you that meeting with the DA there, when they left, he says, man, you've got 13 counts, every one of them 15 to life. So even if they find you guilty of one or two, you can do 20 years. I'm like, this is bullshit, man. Fucking dude pulls a knife out. I knock him out. I didn't stab anybody. I said, I knocked him out with my hands in self-defense. He had a knife. I said, how the fuck am I going to jail? I mean, can you understand? I mean, it doesn't make sense, does it?
It's because of your title.
Right. And that's what he said. He said, it's because who you are and what you are. I said, but that ain't right, man. That ain't right. It just rubbed me the wrong way, man. And he goes, do you really want to take that chance for one juror to find you guilty? There's 12 people out there. You're a big guy. You're scary looking. Like, what do you mean, At the time, all I had was a goatee like on here, That's what do you mean, he says. You just don't want one juror to find you guilty. And I'm going to tell you that did, and started working in my mind, saying, fuck. I said, well, I'm not doing no 4 to 8. First time I'm going to prison, I've been in jails left and right. I did 30 days in jail like twice in Sturgis, That's where I was during the Laughlin shooting. So I looked at him, I said, well, he was wondering if I can get it knocked down. And this is what I said, because my son was in the club. I said, if you knock it down and you can get it knocked down to a reasonable thing, I said, you're not going to send my boy to jail, are you? And he goes, I think they want to send him too. Because he said the Mongol that he hit was an undercover cop. And I go, hey, listen, that's part of being undercover. You know what I mean? You can't hold that against him. And I'm telling you, when I was walking out, he walked out ahead of me. When he opened the door, the dude in the Mongol vest says to him, where the fuck you think you're going? Whack! Brad hit him in the mouth. He flew back, hit his head on the concrete. He had bleeding on the brain. So, they wanted him to pay for that. I said, don't give him any time. Give me the time. I'll do the time. Because, he never did time like that. And, as a father, there's things that, I say this in my book, I says, the things I regret is like, thinking with my heart as a father, not my head as a president of Hell's Angels. I walked past Brad in the wedding chapel and I said, he goes, what's going on, Dad? What are we doing? I said, stay here, Brad. Don't get involved. That was wrong. And I say that in the book, that was wrong of me. Because if you were walking with me in and we're going outside to fight, why are you any different than he is to go out, fight, and maybe go to prison or get killed, but I want him to stay in there and be safe? You understand what I'm saying? It didn't make sense. So I know that was my fuck up because I used my heart, not my head. But at least, as a leader, I realized that, you know what I mean? And that was bad. But he did come out and he was kicking, stomping on people's heads. So, he was doing his thing,
Yeah.
And they gave him 15 months. And then they came back to me like, well, I got to tell you, the thing that pissed me off is I was sitting there and he goes, shh, don't say nothing. The lawyer, I'm going to call the DA. Don't let him know you're here. He's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, man. They're back and forth. Hey, we had to get together, go to lunch, man. Yeah, we haven't played golf in a while. The whole time I'm sitting there thinking, you fucking bastards are all in cahoots. They all are, bro. All of them. I don't give a shit about none of it. So
The lawyers get invited to the judges' Christmas parties.
yeah,
The prosecutors and the defense attorneys.
I believe it.
I've seen it in the federal system.
Have you?
Yeah, it's sick. My lawyer goes to the Christmas party with the AUSAs and the judges because the courthouse hosts a Christmas party. Craziest thing.
That's insane.
And you're telling me they're not talking about cases?
Right. Like, with you saying that, Donahue, the guy he gave the 20 grand to, he worked for Wolf attorney at law firm. That's the firm he worked for. right in the middle of this whole thing, when I gave him the money and I'm waiting for the trial, waiting for him to contact me, I see in the newspaper, I forget the old guy's name. Anyway, they shit-canned him. He screwed up or something. The old DA, they shit-canned him. Guess who became the new DA? Wolf.
It's crazy.
So all the guys are freaking out because they're thinking, Pee-wee's lawyer is working for the DA. And so I go to Donahue and I said to him, hey, man, how's this going to work out? What do you mean? You work for the DA, man. That son of a bitch go in my file and find shit and read it and use it against me. Oh, he can't do that. Well, on the contrary, bro, because here's what he did. Hey, listen, is there any way you could come up with some more money? I said, well, I could. He goes, yeah, because Wolf's getting on my case. He said, you only put 20 down. How the fuck do you know that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not stupid, bro. I sit there listening to you talk. I'm absorbing everything you're saying. So I'm like, well, he only knew it because he went in my file and looked how much money I put down. So Wolf could see my fucking file. I didn't like that. I felt better when I moved over to Tom Erickson's office, but come on, that was water over the dam already. So I'm sitting there and we get together, we'll go golfing or something like that. Hey, he goes, this thing with Pee-wee, man, come on, 4 to 8 years for a fist fight? And he goes, well, I wanted to snap right there. He goes, well, he sucker punched the guy in the face. Why? Because the guy went in his pocket and I threw that punch? Fuck yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, I didn't sucker punch anybody, bro. I've never sucker punched anybody in my life. I don't have to. I box. So I tell people I'm going to fight you. You ready? Hey, man, are you ready? And most of the time people are like, hey, listen. I say, are you ready, man? And you keep talking, and then I punch you in the fucking face, and then you better be ready. It's on. So I couldn't believe that, Tom says to him, yeah, but, he says, he didn't do any of the stabbing or anything like that. And he says, yeah. He goes, listen, this is coming up way higher than me. Fulani, judge, is trying to be reelected. Our sheriff's running to be sheriff again. All at this time. Getting Pee-wee's going to be major, and it's coming federal. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, son of a bitches, right? And on a federal level, they want his head on a platter. That's exactly the way he said it, on a platter. And he goes, I'll tell you what, I'll make it, this is the last deal I'll make. I can offer you a 2 to 5. You can do a 2 to 5. And that's the best I can do. So he says, okay, and he hung up. He looks at me and goes, what do you think of that? And I said, well, I don't mind doing a 2 to 5, but do I get off? Does my kid get off? I don't know. No, he didn't get off. But he only got 15 months, man, He did 15 months exactly, and they let him go. And I saw him, because I would see him in the yard. We were in different yards, and as he passed me, hey, son, I love you. He just nodded like this, like he didn't even fucking know me, He was so angry, but like I told you when you were setting everything up, I said, when you come into the Hells Angels, the first question they used to say to you, or not question, the first thing they tell you, hey, are you ready for this? You may go to prison for the rest of your life. You may be killed or have to kill somebody. Can you deal with that? That's a hard thing to answer because, no guys, hey, yeah, I'm going to do it, man. Like I said, hey, when that time comes, I cross that bridge, I'll handle it. I did handle it. And I didn't whine and cry. I'm not sitting there whining and crying to you about the prison. I'd say, oh, I went to prison because of the club. If it wasn't for the club. I never ever said that. Yeah, it was for the club. But I knew someday that was going to happen.
How were you treated in there?
Actually, I was treated really bad when I got in there, bro, because them guys already started that rumor that I was a snitch and and the worst part, the DA, the head DA, he didn't handle the case. he had this woman come out of retirement to take my case. I can't remember her name. She's some fat cow pig. And when I got in front of the judge, and I was standing there, and he says, I already knew it was a closed, shut case, because when I was standing there, and he said, "Do you have anything to say?" And I said, yes, Your Honor. And when I was standing there, just before he died, he had his folder, and he opens up, he goes, what is this? I could hear him say it, and the bailiff goes, "That's all the letters that people wrote." And he goes, "I don't need to see that." Just shut the way, "I don't need to see that." So right there, bro, kind of told me, like, fuck me. Didn't give a shit who wrote him a letter. Even if it was president. So I said, yeah, Your Honor, I quit the club in 2010. This incident happened in 2008. And I says, we were arrested in 2010. I says, I quit the club, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I quit the club in 2010. I said, now it's 2014. It was like March 17th, I think, the day they sentenced me. I said, it's now March of 2014. I have no police contacts. I have the same job I've had my whole life. You know what I mean? I'm established in a house and stuff. I says, I mean, I don't have like a real serious, the worst part was, I had like 3 or 4 batteries because, I told you I hit a lot of people. But the other 2 felonies I had were concealing stolen property, Back when I was in the centers, we like stealing motorcycles. Never did that as a Hell's Angel. Yeah. But as a center, we did. And then, we burglarized some like warehouse of, it was a hardware store. We cleaned it out. We took everything but the nuts and bolts. And we got caught for it. And it was 3 of us, right? And they even said the other 2 guys' name that were involved with me. And they said, you just, tell us those guys were with you, and you walk. And I took the whole blame, bro. Got to 60 days, $500 fine. Was minor, bro. It was way back in the early 80s. Yeah. It's when we were greasers, And I didn't snitch on them. So I've always kept a level head in that shit. So I'm trying to think where I was leaving off. So we're
2014 now, you're talking to the judge.
Yeah, so I'm telling the judge it's 2014, and I really don't have like serious criminal record. It's I have no juvenile record whatsoever. And I says, I just want to get on with my life. And he does one of these. Are you done? You know how bad I want to say, yeah, motherfucker, I'm done. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, when he was looking at it, he was reading some paperwork while I was talking. And he got, are you done? Are you done now? All right, I'm going to sentence you to 2 to 5 years in the state penitentiary out in High Desert, maximum prison, for deliberately sucker punching that man in the face. Now, bro, I couldn't stand there and have another son of a bitch tell me that. There was no fucking sucker punch, okay? So I say, on the contrary, Judge, I didn't sucker punch anybody in the face. I walked up to the man. He stuck his hand in his pocket. I didn't think he was giving me the keys to his car. And I fought. And the knife fell on the floor. He admitted the knife was his. And he says, well, you're going to prison. He didn't give a fuck. He says, you're going to prison because what you should have done, this one's going to kill you. What you should have done, Mr. Goldsmith, was waited till the man brandished a weapon and try to use it on you before you hit him. And when you go and everybody tells you, when you go to prison and all these guys tell you, and they go, why didn't you say, hey, the cops would have shot him, remember? Hey, don't go, get your hands out of your pocket. You know how easy they are, how fast they are with the guns, right?
Yeah.
Well, you don't think of that. I mean, you've been there, you're standing there. Not everything goes through your head. You're not that, I'm not trying to say I was stupid, but it didn't cross my mind. I guess I was just standing there in amazement like, what the fuck is happening here? And then they said, okay, you can go now. So, I put my hands back and they cuffed me up and I turn around, I look, my mom's sitting there, my wife's sitting there crying, and my daughter's crying. And they walk me out. And as we're walking out, I walk past the DA and she's standing like this by the podium and she looks over and goes like that. And as I walk by, I go, cunt. And she goes, he just called me a bad name, Judge. And he goes, well, what did he say? She goes, ask him. I said, she's nuts. I didn't say anything, So then we get in the back and he's an old black guy, the bailiff. And I'll never forget, his name was Cliff because I saw it on his name tag. And we get in the back and he goes, just sit down here, big guy. He goes, I'll go get the clothes for you to change out, into your blues there, whatever it is. And I said, okay. He comes back with the clothes. He goes, here, man. He said, I really feel bad about this whole thing. And I said, why's that, Cliff? And this is what he said to me. So I think you got fucked. You really got fucked in there, man. They just wanted you. It was a political thing. You know that, right? I said, but that don't make it right, Cliff. That don't make it right. And I can hear my kid out there, And my girlfriend's got a brain tumor. I'm thinking, shut the fuck up. They don't give a shit if she's got, cauliflower growing out the side of her ears. Basically, he did the same thing. Are you done? You're going 15 months. But I thought they were going to bring him in a room with me, but they didn't. They took me out right away, and then and then I didn't see him. I thought we'd be like, I never saw him again. He was like in a different unit, and then I was in the one unit. And, man, it was hard for me because I was on Xanax, sleeping all the time, and I didn't have the Xanax. So I was up for like 3 days, bro, and I was like, I was like, I was going like seriously cuckoo. And I'm sitting there, I'm with this cellie of mine, and he's doing burpees, right? Jumping up and down, doing the burpees on the ground, up and down, up and down. And I'm sitting there, and he's driving me nuts, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. I'm going to kill him. I was going to get up and beat his head on the wall till I kill him. I mean, and it says on there that those pills, when you get off of them, my doctor told me this, when you go cold turkey off of Xanax like that, you become suicidal, or, you know what I mean? It can give you a massive stroke or heart attack. Bro, I was taking 2 of them a night to go to sleep. I sleep 6 hours, wake up, and function perfect. And I just need them to shut my brain down. And all of a sudden they said, we're not giving you that in prison. They weren't giving it to me. So after the 3 days, bro, I finally shut down, and I fell asleep. And then they'd yell at me to come get breakfast in the morning. Fucking shit food. I was only there about 3 days, maybe 4. I thought it was going to be here like a couple of weeks, and then they send you out on the bus, That's what the guys were all telling me. Yeah, you'll be here about a couple of weeks and stuff. I said, oh, okay. And then guys, that were in there, they were all cool with me and stuff. And a couple of the Mexican guys, they were super cool with me. And this one young kid comes up to me in there and he says, hey, man, how's it going, brother? I look at him and I go, who the fuck are you, man? He goes, I'm an angel out of San Diego. I looked at him, I said, you are? And he goes, yeah. And this is why they do this. And I think they don't do it on the East Coast, which I don't know why. It's kind of stupid. But I looked at him and I said, how long have you been in the club? He goes, oh, about 2 years. I said, well, where's your skin patch? Like I see when you had Johnny Bart on there, he had one right on his bicep, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But Johnny got a lot of those in prison, you know what I mean? And it was really good work. I seen it. Because I used to write him letters and send him shit all the time in the beginning, He's a good dude. And he says, oh, I didn't get it yet. I haven't had time. That's bullshit, bro, because I'm going to tell you this. When I became a member of San Francisco, they told me, you got 10 days to get a skin patch or you get busted back to Prospect. 10 days.
Wow.
But I was a different case. I really was.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's okay. Everyone calls me out.
Yeah. So I was a different case, bro. I can honestly tell you this. Guys in my charter, Frisco, are like, what the fuck did you do? Swear to God, bro. I went on my chest and I had California MC tattooed on it, like a prospect rocker.
Wow.
They said, well, hey, what if you don't make it? I said, well, I'll just put a big peacock over it or something, I have a peacock cover up right there, So I'm like, just put a big peacock over it or something. So all I had to do was go get the death head and the Hell's Angel part put on when I made member. Mm-hmm. And I did it that night. Or the next morning I did it. Because that night we went out partying, the night I made member. And then I went and got it, and they were like, you're pretty cocky. And if I wouldn't have made it, I would have covered it up, you know what I mean? And but I already had it on me. So I know then I did the same rules in Vegas when I was a leader there. I told them, you get 10 days, man, or you're busted back. You do another whole year. So the guys went and did it, And then I think my kid got his inside his bicep like that. And same place, Johnny. Well, Johnny got his on the outer part. My kids are on the inside. And then when I left, because I left the club in good, I quit, I stood up and said, I'm out of here because I just didn't feel it anymore. And my charter was like acting weird about the whole situation. They're going, hey, he snitched. I said, read my fucking paperwork, man. There was nobody in there. Finally, honestly, a guy just left, parked a semi down the road from my house, walked up here. He worked for Walmart. I don't want to say his name because he just got out of the club. And he said he was at a East Coast meeting, and they said, hey, what about Pee-wee, man? What about his situation, his status? Well, some young guy stands up in there, well, what the fuck are you worried about? He's a rat. And Mario from Long Island, he was a sergeant of arms. He said, well, no, he's not. I read his paperwork and everything. He did not rat on anybody. Finally, somebody who can read and write. So he knew it, And he says, well, somebody goes, didn't he talk to the cops? And I did what I told you. I said, and it wasn't like, I was sitting here, giving them fucking secret information and shit. Just like all of us had to deal with the cops in our own way. And I thought I was doing the right thing. If I wasn't, bro, I wouldn't have been a leader as long as I was, right? I mean, if I was that shitty, I would have been like kicked out of that spot a long time ago. So that's like kind of like on my integrity, to do that bullshit. So I tell him, hey man,